Purchasing a car can be one of the biggest financial investments a person makes in their lifetime. Because of this, people look to save money in all the areas possible in order to minimize the financial impact it has on them. But one thing that's commonly overlooked is how different buying decisions can impact the residual values of a car. Some decisions that people make that seem financially smart at the time of purchase can actually result in a much greater loss than you would expect. In this video, I'll be showing you 4 different tips that you can make when buying a new car that will minimize depreciation and save you money in the long run. The first tip is to pick a more powerful engine. This tip works particularly well with cheaper cars that come with low power engines as standard. In many scenarios, picking the more powerful engine can result in a bigger loss, but in the one similar to the example that I will demonstrate, it can save you money in the long run. It's time to get to know how doing this can save you money. Let's take a good all-round car that comes with many engines at a variety of different power outputs. The Skoda Octavia, for example. The base diesel engine is a 1.6 litre 4-cylinder engine that produces a rather modest 115 horsepower. The claimed fuel economy is 70 mpg on the combined cycle. Skoda also offers a more powerful 2-litre diesel engine for around £800 more. This engine produces 150 horsepower, so it is slightly more powerful, but its fuel economy is lower at 67 mpg for the combined cycle. The difference in the urban cycle is even greater. Naturally, a lot of people could think that the 1.6 TDI is the one to go for because it is cheaper to buy, cheaper to run on paper, and is not sacrificing much in terms of performance. But I would advise against that. Notice how I said that the 1.6 TDI would be cheaper to run on paper, not in real life. The real-world MPG of the 1.6 litre engine is in the region of 45 miles per gallon. The real-world MPG for the 2 litre engine is in the region of 51 miles per gallon. This means that the more expensive engine will be cheaper to run. Over the period of ownership, it is likely that the greater fuel economy of the 2 litre TDI will pay for itself at the petrol station. Also, you will not have to compromise on power or torque because you have the 2 litre engine, so your period of time with the car will probably be a bit more enjoyable. Finally, when you come to sell your car, the 2 litre TDI will be worth more money and depreciate less because it is the preferred engine for the Skoda, so you may actually lose more money if you opt for the lower powered 1.6 variant. As I mentioned before, this tip generally works with low or underpowered cars due to the strain on the engine when driving. Don't think that buying a BMW M5 will be cheaper than buying a lower powered petrol 5 Series. The next tip is to try and buy a limited edition model of a car if possible. This tip works with just about any limited edition car. I'll demonstrate how this tip can save you money by using the Porsche 911 as an example. Let's say you were in the market for a 911 and you settled on the Carrera S as your preferred model. In 2013, Porsche launched the 911 50th anniversary model that was very similar to the 911 Carrera S, but it was a lot more expensive. You might think that you could just save money and buy the regular Carrera S instead, but rather than doing that, I think you should pay more money for the 50th anniversary edition, even if it's similar to the cheaper Carrera S. This is because the limited edition model will hold its value much better, whereas the regular 911 will just depreciate as normal. If you check the used price for a 50th anniversary 911, it is clear that some of them have not depreciated at all, while others have actually increased in value. Those limited edition 911s are worth more than double of a regular used 911, so you will most likely get all your money back, and maybe even more when buying a limited edition car due to the high residual values caused by the demand. The third tip is to generously spec some optional extras on your car. This tip works best with cars that come with very little standard equipment, such as Porsches. You can save money by researching what some of the most popular options are for your car of choice, and select them when buying it. While it may drive up the initial purchase cost of your car, in the used market, buyers will look for cars with their preferred options, and if your car has them, and many others don't, then your car could be sold for a higher price. This means that you make some of or all of the money back, while also enjoying some extra features during your period of ownership. Seems like a win-win to me. Just keep in mind not to go wild with the options list, as some options that aren't so popular may not get your money back. Also, if your car has personalization options that can't be removed, then I would suggest not to write your name on the car or to go for a weird combination of colors, as I'm sure the future owner will not want to be reminded of the person they bought the car off every time they go for a drive. It may even stop people from buying your car, which will cause you to suffer from a bigger financial loss. My final tip is to not go for a super expensive paint coat, such as a multi-coated color with specially sprayed particles. This is because if you ever happen to scratch your car, it will be a lot more expensive to get the paintwork redone. Of course, I'm not saying to stick with the standard bland color, but when you see a color that costs a few £1,000s more than the rest, it would be the one I would say to avoid. So they were my 4 money saving tips. Don't always pick the cheapest engine, buy a limited edition model if possible, don't be afraid to spec some options, and finally, don't go for the fanciest paint job. Do you have any more money saving tips? Leave your answer in the comments.